So you might be wondering how I actually shot the shot that you see it right here. Well, it's quite simple. It's a game of shadows. And I want to apologize for my voice. I had a really rough week, and this is the consequence. So I guess the best way to explain this is with actual behind the scenes. And of course, due to the nature of the photos, I can't really show any videos because YouTube will destroy my channel, but I can show you with pictures that are dressed. So let's take a look. First, a little context. I've been cooking this idea since September and I haven't been able to shoot it because of my really hectic schedule. And I know I've seen a couple of other photographers doing something that's quite similar. And I just wanted to put it out there as fast as I can. So I'm just clear that I'm not copying anyone. I shot this idea like a long time ago because, as you know, I've been shooting with optical snoots for a while now. This is a project I had in my mind for a while, and this is the birthing of this actual project. But I guess all the moons aligned and other people had the same idea as me. So congratulations. So the main question you might have is, how do you get something similar to what I just shot? It's really a game of shadows, and I'm going to reiterate what I said in my previous video about the white background. It's about control, and in my opinion, this method I'm showing you is the ultimate method in order to get a white background and having incredible light control over your subject. Hear me out. So the first thing you need to do is get some V-flats. Again, I recommend the ones from V-Flat World because I made, again, a whole playlist of 3 videos or 2 videos, I'm not too sure, demonstrating the usefulness of V-flats in the studio environment. In my opinion, they're really a game changer if ever you have a studio and you want to really shape your light without having to spend much more money. And again, they are a little more expensive, but again, they're worth it. There's also DIY solutions, so you find your own. But if you want the easy one, V-flat from V-flat Worlds is the way to go. So the original goal of the V-flat is to protect the subject as much as possible from the light. So basically we have 2 V-flats on the sides, as you can see in the image here. And if you take a look at behind those 2 V-flats, you'll find an 8600 BM, which is a Godox light, pretty powerful, and another 8400 Pro, which is again just to light the background. And I sandwiched the subject in between those 2 shots in order to protect her as much as possible from any light leak. Also, the other thing that's important is I moved her forward as much as possible in order to avoid any light spill coming onto her body. So after lighting the cyclorama, which is a big curvy white wall that you see, we're going to work on the main light. So in this case, we have a Godox 8400 Pro with an optical snoot that I reviewed here or here. Again, there's a reason why I picked the 8400 Pro. It's because it's the most powerful modeling light that I have for a balanced mount. So if I compare it to the 8600, let's say for example, it won't really show me exactly what I'm having, and it's hard for me and the subject to feel or see the light. With the 8400 Pro, with a 30-watt modeling light, it's pretty powerful. You can actually see exactly what you're getting and basically place the subject correctly within the actual shape of the gobo. So now there's a tricky part in order to balance the background and the main light. So as you see, the optical snoot that I'm using here and the lens attachment specifically tends to cut a lot of light away from the actual main light. So for my test from the last video with the optical snoot, I estimate about 3.5 stops to 3 stops of lost power, which is immense if ever you're trying to get something in a high aperture like 5.6 or even 8 or something like that. So in this case, I had to scale back a lot and I pushed my Tamron 7080 to actually 2.8 in order to get as much light in as possible. Luckily for us in that case, depth of field is not really an issue because we're not trying to get a overall sharp image of the foreground and the background. We're just trying to get some shapes and shadows that are sharp. If you can get that, even at 1.8, it'll work well. You just have to figure out that mixing the background light, basically dimming it down to enough power that it won't bother you, and having the main light powerful enough that you can actually see what you're getting. And if you can balance both these items, then you win. So for the gobo attachment, you might be wondering, what are we using? Well, we're going to the moon. Well, actually, it's a moon crescent gobo insert, so go in between insert. And you might be also wondering, well, it's so large and we see such a small part of it. How come it's not affecting your background? It's pretty simple. There's 2 main reasons. The first reason is that the exposure, so basically because the distance between the subject and the background is so great that the actual main light doesn't really affect the subject at the end. Most of the power of the main light gets lost within the inverse square law before it reaches the background, so it doesn't affect it. And anyways, it doesn't matter because in this case we're using white on white, and because there's no colors, there won't be any difference between the white that you're projecting. So even if you were really close to your subject, it wouldn't really affect the background because you're just adding lights to light. It's not like there's a contrast of colors in between both. So there you have it. So after we finished setting that up, I added a large hat that I found on Amazon. You can find links to it below if you want to buy one for yourself. To add something specific like a dress E effect versus just having her head bare. I didn't find that it translated well into the concept behind the mind, and I found the hat to be quite an interesting shape in order to make her a little glorified and a little more dressed, even though she's not. And after I was done with my original ID, the subject and I were talking, and I said, well, I have these also other gobos. Let's try this out. And this one I'll call the Jean-Paul Gaultier. If it doesn't know, Jean-Paul Gaultier is a famous artist or designer, and he has this bottle with striped shirt with a man with a very large chest. And interesting to see this pattern actually becoming something else than what it's intended for. So I just use it here, and you can let me know if you like it. I actually like it. I find it's original and quirky, but you let me know. You be the judge. So this was quite short because it is quite a simple shot, even though it looks complicated. But if you did enjoy this, do let me know in the comments. And also, if you did enjoy this really a lot, you can also subscribe because I figure out like 80% of you are actually not subscribed when you're watching this. So please make sure you subscribe. If there's any gear that you'd like to see, you can always find them in the description below. These are affiliate links, of course, and they help support this channel. And last question I have for you is, did I answer any questions you might have about the setup? If not, you can always leave a comment below and I try to answer them for the next few days. On that note, I will see you in the next video. And remember, together, let's light the world. Cheers.